Hello there. Welcome to the Coach Craig Kenneth Show. I am your host, Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm your co-host, Coach Victoria.
And this is a caller-driven show where you guys call up and share something that's going on in your life. Can be a problem about mental health, dating, relationships, your co-host.
Your co-host.
Whatever it is. But if you want to be on the show, just go to the website. There's a section that says CK Show, and you can fill out the little form and email us to be on here and get aggravated by us.
We'll talk just about anything.
We like to have fun, and we like to talk with you guys and hear what's going on in your life. And today we've got a very interesting caller who went through a breakup, and there might be some revenge porn going on here. We're gonna have to sort through this.
There's a lot of odd things that happen after breakups. Trust me, we've heard a lot, but we still get surprised.
Yeah, really, honestly, we really do. There's new things and new technologies and ways around to be sneaky with the technology. You'd be surprised. Every week we hear something. So today we have Beatrice on the show, and she is in her late 20s. Now, Beatrice, can you hear me?
I can, yes. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, now we can hear you, but we can't understand you. Where are you from, Mars?
Nearly, in England.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It really means a lot.
Thanks for joining.
Now, you've been following us for a while, huh?
Yeah, about 18, 19 months, literally straight after the breakup.
Yeah, okay. So tell us a little bit about what was going on. You were dating another woman?
Yeah, we were dating for about 9 months. She was a student that was studying about an hour away. We dated for about 9 months. I think I just said that, sorry. And I saw her every few days, sometimes for 3-4 days at a time, depending on when I had time off work. But we had a fun...
Does that mean you were doing all the driving to her?
Well, I got bused to her, but she came to me sometimes, but because we had more space in her dorm, I went to her mostly.
Okay, so how did you guys meet if you lived an hour away?
We met online. She's originally from the other side of the country, I believe, but because she was studying nearby, it made it so much easier.
Got it. Okay. So tell us a little bit about the relationship. I mean, you guys were seeing each other pretty often, it sounds like.
Yeah, literally every few days for sometimes 3, 4, 5 days at a time. I think for the first 6, 7 months it was fine, and then I could see little things she was doing, like pulling away and stuff. But I just thought because I knew she was struggling with her mental health. She has a lot of toxic parents, which you say plays a part, and learning all this now.
Tell us more about her family. Tell us about mom.
Her mum, she doesn't
We'll
see.
throw that question out there for Margaret. Tell us
I
about her
remember
mother.
when I heard that for the first time, I was like, oh my God, I got goosebumps. Her mum, she doesn't see her mum because she chose her horrible stepdad, and then she went on to have other kids. She's only got one full brother, but they're all kids, and I think she feels like she's the one that's left out of the pictures, because she chose her horrible stepdad, so she doesn't feel. I know it affects her.
Of course.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds like
yeah.
it could be abandonment,
Wow.
wounds there.
So because mom married another guy, she doesn't have a relationship with her own daughter? That sounds
I mean,
pretty horrible.
sorry, yeah, I don't think they're married, but she chose him, and it's kind of the way she's been brought up as well. Her dad's a horrible person. I think the combined of both being absent has made her an avoidant.
Okay. All right. So that's obviously going to affect somebody and their ability to trust people or get close to people, things like that. Okay, so tell us about the relationship. You guys were seeing each other pretty often, and you said it was going good for about 6 to 7 months. Then what happened?
I mean, if I want to say exactly what it is, towards the end of the relationship, she's gay like me, just likes women, and she was talking about meeting or talking to guys online to see I don't know, to get money, but not to do anything for it. And then she said about because she was struggling to make money in uni because
Wait, so is
obviously
she talking about doing like an OnlyFans or something?
I think it's just an app. I don't even know what the app still to this day is called, but talking to guys. And she said, I'm going to make out on buy. So it's kind of I understand it's hard for money, but it just seemed like a bit of a low blow to make money. And I was working a good job. I lost one because a lot, that company got redundant, got closed down. But she knew if she needed help, I was there. I think it's just that independence. And then she tried telling me she was thinking about selling her eggs to families for money. And I just thought,
Oh, wow.
just the taste of it didn't sit well.
So it sounds like she was kind of getting desperate for money.
Yeah, and I'm curious
Yeah.
too, just about the boundaries of your relationship and like expectations, what you felt comfortable with. When she's telling
hmm
you all of this, what was going through your mind? Did you feel comfortable as a partner?
I mean, I was a bit shocked. I was glad she told me, but I was a bit like, you know, you speak about your mum and dad not being there for you, and like I know, like she says it's only biologically, but I said to me, you're no different to your mum if you go and give your eggs to strangers and never see this kid again.
Wow, that probably stung.
Yeah, that probably would,
Yeah.
you know. I know people have different motives for selling their eggs. For a lot of people, it is something that's
hmm
official. But you know, that's one of those things that you would want to talk to your partner about. Hey, I'm going to make this decision. It's a pretty
Yeah.
big decision, you know,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
your offspring that's out there in the world. So that's why I was curious just about your take on it. And what about with her communicating sexually with other men online for money? What were your thoughts on that?
It weren't jealousy. It was more like I was worried her safety, and it was like it made me feel like she didn't value our intimacy as much. We lost our virginities to each other, so it was like, does it not mean as much to you as I thought?
Wow,
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so, you know, if she's in a position where she's struggling financially and she's
Mm-hmm.
really willing to do just about anything to
Mm-hmm.
make that income, that can really lead to putting yourself in awkward, uncomfortable positions and people making you do things that
Mm-hmm.
you don't feel good
Of
about for
course.
money.
Yeah.
I've had people that have done OnlyFans or partners that have done OnlyFans, and there is a lot of pressure to do some pretty nasty stuff.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you don't feel good. You feel pretty awful when you hear about how poorly those people are treated.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
more
I'm
like,
sure that would affect her mental health or outlook on how she's doing in life.
yeah, it would affect her self-esteem. And after we broke up, I was always like, oh, there weren't any signs. But now after the time out, is like, I think they might have been
Yeah. Okay, so how long were you guys dating before you broke up?
9 months.
9 months.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what happened leading up to the breakup?
What I just told you pretty much. And then
Okay.
just pulling away and seeing me less and less. And
Okay. So
I
she
think,
did pull away.
yeah, she came back and I only seen her like once within like a month. And from someone that sees someone like twice, 3 times a week, every week, it's quite a big jump.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So was she less responsive in messages to you? Was she coming
Yes.
up with excuses to not see you?
I mean, she was telling me how she was struggling to like leave her dorm and stuff, but she didn't tell me till the full extent until we broke up. I think because she broke up with me, she felt she could be more honest, but it was like she was sleeping all day and up all night. So, you know, like I was trying to find another job, and I think it was a way of trying to avoid me.
Could have also been depression,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
right?
She's had yeah, I didn't say this earlier, but she had a very traumatic experience happen because of her dad, and you know, she's told me before it makes her want to kill herself most days. So I know that plays a big part.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
massive trauma right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking too just about the impulsivity of her decisions. You know, people choose different ways to make money and, you know, it's if it's consensual, it's up to them, whatever it might be, but it sounds like there might be an impulsive nature to these things. It sounds like it happened kind of suddenly. And the way that she had brought it up to you, it sounds like she was saying, "Hey, I'm doing this and I'm letting you know," rather than saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts? How might this affect my relationship? How might this affect my life?"
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
that's the
She's
type
in
of
survival mode.
right, right.
Yeah. And I was just left saying I'll support you because I felt like I didn't really have much of a choice at that point.
Hmm.
So there was a violent incident at the home that obviously was extremely traumatic. We're going to leave that vague, but it was pretty intense.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I didn't mention this, but she also smokes a lot of weed, and I just feel like yes, like the very first video of yours I watched, it spoke about like if you're not ready for a relationship, and it spoke about addiction, and that's what got you guys you know. And I always thought I was watching it, I was like, she ain't got any addictions, and then it hit me, she has to have like money for weed, and I felt like that's maybe why she's doing these low blows for, you know, to get through
But
on.
yeah, so she could be using that to help her cope with the trauma
Yeah,
symptoms.
could be a way to
Mhm.
self-medicate.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So obviously she wasn't doing well with her mental health. So now we could see a big part of why this relationship fell apart.
Right. And sometimes it can be difficult to see those things until some time passes. So you said you saw this around 7 months into your relationship, and that sounds about right. With what we typically see, it's around 6 months that someone's attachment style gets, like, activated. You start to see more of just those mental health issues start to surface. It can be hard for somebody to maintain a healthy relationship for a longer period of time. That takes
Yeah.
resilience, that takes flexibility, that, when you struggle with mental health, sometimes that can be hard to maintain.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what happened? What happened at the time of the breakup?
In what sense? Sorry.
She just
Like, how
ghosted
yeah.
you? She
Oh,
said, I can't do this anymore?
she gave me a text. It was around 7 o'clock at night, and it was the end of January. So yeah, like I said, about 9 months after we started dating, and she's like, "I've got some bad news. Can I call you?" And I just felt like it was gonna be like about the breakup or something, and I didn't really want to hear it. So I said, "Can you text it?" Because I didn't want to, get all emotional on the phone. At first, I thought maybe she would be telling me I'm gonna go back home because she was struggling in between September and January. She had about 2, 3 lessons, so your brain would think maybe she's dropping out, and where she lives, the relationship would be very hard to maintain. But then she
Yeah.
texted me saying, "I have to break up with you," and then I said, "Why?" And she's like, "Early hours of the morning, I couldn't see us getting married or living together." And she tried describing it, like she vividly described it, and it didn't feel right, like from all the other times before. But to me, it just seemed like a very impulsive breakup, which would match her personality and the avoidant.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like she was thinking like, oh, just because I don't see myself marrying you now doesn't it means I should end this. Why keep this going?
Mhm.
It does
Yeah.
seem kind of impulsive, and she is very young. She's only in her early 20s.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why is she putting this pressure on herself to be thinking about marriage?
I
When
think it's sorry, go on.
you guys aren't even really talking about that yet, are you?
No, no, I mean, we'd only been together just under a year. I think maybe apart from one person in her life, that was an adult. I think I was the only other adult she fully trusted, so she put pressure on that. And then the person that's the other adult in her family, there was this huge thing about, like, I don't know if she ever found out, maybe she did, but there was this secret around this woman that is the only other adult she trusts, and if it came out, it'd blow the whole family apart. So I was thinking, if she couldn't trust the one adult in her life that was at home because of what happened with her family, how could she trust Beatrice?
Yeah, it's a
Hmm.
lot.
She
So
maybe found out the secret. Sorry, go on.
no, I was just gonna say it sounded like during the breakup, she may have not been fully aware of some of the reasons why she wanted it to end too. Just the idea of the future and marriage and this talk when the two of you hadn't even been talking really about the future. It's
No.
kind of makes you question what was really going on. Now, you
Yeah.
had said that just from your experience with her through the relationship that you thought she was more avoidantly attached.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
what were some of those things that made you think, man, I think she has more of an avoidant attachment style, or this is a person who's not letting me get too close?
That's exactly it. Not letting me get too close. Lots of different things. Just how she spoke. She very spoke as she found. Like she's like, if she has a headache, if I say it, I'll be like, I have a headache. I did this and that. If she had a headache, she would just be, I have a headache. Very
Mm,
blunt.
Okay.
mm,
And even like a month or two before we even officially started dating, she blocked me, which massive red flag. But at the time, I just thought, well, because she went out the night before she blocked me. This is like I didn't even say it earlier, but yeah, before we even officially started dating, I got blocked.
mm,
Yeah, this does feel very impulsive,
mhm,
right?
Hmm.
So how did you handle the breakup?
I think pretty well. I did one thing I regret. It weren't a handwritten letter or anything, but I put a post on TikTok about saying how much I love her, and that weren't to try and manipulate her to come back. I wanted her to see like what she had was special, and you don't need to run away from this. But I deleted it shortly after, and it's like I did that and I was wrong, and I've never had a chance to apologise. But I got breadcrumbed endlessly from her, and I never got an apology for that. And it's like I'm not saying what I did wasn't any, like I can't take accountability. I can. I've done so much growing, but it's like I didn't want it to look like I was manipulating her because that's not me.
Sure.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go into no contact. You didn't hear from her for a while, or what?
Um. Yeah, we went into no contact around. It was actually I remember the day. It was March 17th of last year, and we didn't talk until about October time. I reached out, like, I know you say not to, but like I just had a panic. A celebrity that I kind of like died, and it just kind of shook up this whole life is short. And I knew that obviously with everything I just told you, she was struggling, and now she's in, I believe, a controlling relationship, which is a whole new conversation. But I just seen it as I'd rather message her and know she's okay than not say anything. And if she kills herself, I'd have to live with the fact I never reached out. You know, I thought my gratitude's more important.
I see. And how did it go when you reached out?
I got ignored, and then I went on the app a
Oh.
bit later on, and I was blocked.
Oh, so she ignored you and blocked you.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was fully her because, like I said, I think she's in a controlling relationship, and there's a few signs to imply she is, and that relationship's outgrown ours. But I don't know if you've said this, but I've watched videos, and it says if they're in a toxic relationship, they're more likely to stay because they feel more because they're familiar. And I think the relationship's in now reminds her of her dad. You date your parent, as you say.
That would make some sense. Sometimes you do see that happen where somebody's stuck in that toxic pattern and it's hard for them to break out versus being in a healthy relationship where that feels more unfamiliar. They don't really know how to sustain that because their mental health isn't at that level where they can function in that relationship. And I want to talk about something that you brought up that I think is really important. It sounded
Mm.
like at a certain point you felt some responsibility for her suicidality of if I don't reach out to her, what if she ends up harming herself and then I'm going to be left with that guilt?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
something that I've heard of before and have worked with before, and it is so tricky because this person made a significant impact on your life.
Mhm.
Somebody who were once in your inner circle, and so you want to be there for them and you want to do the right thing. You want to support them as much as you possibly can with their mental health. But
Yes.
after a breakup, the boundaries of that are so blurry. What is helping, what is being intrusive, with the
Mhm.
or hurt. And sometimes, on here, we talk about no contact quite a lot on our other channel, not on this channel, on our other channel. But there are certain situations where, you have to make the decision that you will live with the best. In a breakup, part of that is both of you becoming individuals again. And that means letting go of some of the responsibility for their mental health. And so that's, a process that can be really difficult to go through after breakup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my experience, even when you kind of reach out because you're afraid something's going to happen with them, from what I've seen, it generally doesn't lead to anything meaningful or that connection really establishing or whatnot. Probably because they're not in a good place anyway.
Mhm.
They focusing on other support systems. So, but the person that's worried for them experiences a lot of anxiety and fear and pain over it.
Right. And I want to be clear, this is also different from if an ex is actively telling you that they are going to hurt themselves, then please get them that support.
Yeah.
Please call authorities. Please make sure that they have like a wellness check or that they're going to be okay. But outside of that situation, it can be tricky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if she felt suicidal, but with all the things that were going on, like controlling behaviours online, what I've told you about her past and how she broke up with me, and how the celebrity that died might have been linked to suicide, I think I just got into my own head a little bit. And I just seen it as if I can message her, not be anxious, and not do it from a place of, I want you back, then I don't see the harm because I'm not doing it to get her back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a tough call. I mean, usually I would say not to
Yeah.
reach out, but
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I mean, you got ignored and blocked, so
Yeah.
you leave it at that. But then she disappeared for a while after that, right?
Yeah. I didn't hear anything then for about 2, 3 months at the end of January.
And is that when we had some really bizarre behavior come out of nowhere?
It was, yes.
All right, so what happened?
I got sent a naked photo of her anonymously.
Okay. Now this is interesting because can we say which social media it was from?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Snapchat.
Yes.
Okay. So that's interesting because with Snapchat, there tends to be more, I think, anonymous people going on there, right?
Yeah.
Where like Instagram or Facebook, I think those are less likely to be fake, right? Fake accounts.
No.
Anybody can create just a Snapchat under any kind of username. It could be numbers 35472
Yeah, right.
butterfly or something. That's
That's
not
on
my
their birth certificate.
and they can create an account and start
Mhm.
messaging people, adding people. And it's one of those things that is a little bit harder to track, right? Because there's no paper trail or or little paper trail with Snapchat. Things can just appear and then they disappear.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the photo that you got,
Yes.
you had mentioned to us briefly before the call that it was at an angle that you weren't sure if she took it or someone else took it. Is that right?
No, that was the second one. No,
Okay.
hang on. No, the second one, yeah. The first one looked like she could have possibly took it.
Now, the thing about it that I'm thinking is that she had been talking about sending pictures or doing like that kind of stuff for money.
Yes.
Is it possible she sent it to everyone in her contacts? I'm not too familiar with Snapchat.
No, because it was on a fake account. And I'm not in her life anymore.
Well, maybe you can help me understand like how that would work. Like, would it be because on a lot of social media you can send it out to everybody in your contacts, right? So in that case, it couldn't happen with Snapchat that she
What, even being in a fake name?
Yeah.
Maybe. But like the girl
And
she's
then she
with now,
forgot you were on there or something?
maybe my number's still saved, but I just see it as it's happened twice. And I think with Snapchat and stuff, it normally says in your contact, and it didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what happened? You got the picture. What'd you do?
Panicked and deleted it out of like respect to her, but I reached out to her through email because that's the only way I had left of communicating with her.
Okay. And what did she say when you emailed her?
Basically saying, "Can I see the photo?" And I said, I deleted it out of respect and panic. And I think it's someone that knows we've had a past that sent it, because like we spoke about earlier, how would someone that doesn't know we had a past, or know me at least, send it?
Good point.
Yeah.
And, just saying what you had said earlier with her sending pictures for money, potentially, that's out there, in certain careers and certain paths of making money. Once you put something out there, it's out there, just like in ours. Once this video is it's out there, and you kind of have to accept the reality of that a little bit, and things can come back around. So you have to be, somewhat conscious of what you post online, what's being sent through the internet. And
Of
so
course,
it
once
does.
it's out there.
Yeah, it does make you question, was this something that could have been sent from her directly, out of impulse, out of
To get your attention?
to get your
Why,
attention?
why would she want my attention if she's in a controlling relationship now to get my attention? That, like, I knew, but like,
People do impulsive things, especially when they have trauma, right? They act out. They do things because they don't want to grieve or deal with the pain.
And in an odd way, the impulsiveness can almost make someone feel in control. Oh, if I'm able to provoke an ex and rile up some feeling, or have them question or stir the pot, then that makes me feel a little bit more powerful, like I have some kind of agency in my world.
is it like breadcrumbing?
It could
It could
be.
be.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it could be.
I mean, it's like,
But we
I
don't
don't even
know,
know
but
how.
we don't know who sent it. We don't know if it was her
No,
or not,
no.
right?
I mean, she acted shocked, but then, like, if it was her, would she say it was?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I suppose if you wanted someone's attention, you could say, yeah, I sent it to you. All right, so she just said, send me the picture,
Yeah.
which kind of makes it seem like she didn't know about it.
Yeah.
But she didn't act very upset by that.
Right.
No, I mean, someone's violated her if it wasn't her, and I was like, I'm upset. Like, I've not even been with you for almost a year, and I was really violated. I thought, like, you should be.
Well, maybe she had been sending out pictures, and so that was no surprise.
No, maybe it was the impulsivity again coming out.
Okay, so then after that, you go back into no contact,
Yeah.
and then it happened again.
So it was like, I got sent another photo at the end of April, and it was like a birthday present, but we weren't in each other's lives, and I just thought, I don't even know how you are, but I've seen your boobs.
Your boobs are well.
Yeah. They're just how I remembered them. So that made me, like, because I do question myself anyway, as anxious.
Can't
But I'm
wait for
like, no,
Christmas, right?
that if I get sent any this year, I'll let you know. That'll be my follow-up story.
But it is bizarre behavior, and
Yeah.
it's interesting how sometimes exes behave in a way where they're not really fully aware or considerate of how it might impact their ex. sometimes you do see breadcrumbing and, to them it's, well, I was just feeling lonely. Well, I was just, missing you. But you don't realize the emotional impact that that could have on another person. So if this was her, we don't know if it's her or not. It could be a revenge situation. Maybe a new girlfriend is sending this.
That's my guess, yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah,
I've seen controlling behaviors that imply she's in a controlling relationship.
Okay, so you reached out again and said, hey, I got this picture again?
Yeah, and I did it on email and WhatsApp this time because I seen it as if her girlfriend is getting her to control her on everything, maybe she's blocked my email. So I thought if I put it on WhatsApp, then she's definitely to see it. And I just said, here it is, bye bye. So I didn't even say I just thought you got it, you've got proof this time,
And what did she say?
And then absolutely nothing.
Wow.
And it's
Not
been
even
like what?
thank you for letting me know.
Yeah. And it's like that shows me in another way she's even more controlled.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it could be possible that she's being controlled, but it just everything is pointing to that she's impulsive. Now,
Yeah. I mean, there's a piece. Sorry, go on.
I'm not saying that she sent the picture, but I do find it odd that if somebody sent it out, maybe this person sent it to other people too. And so she already knew, oh yeah, she's been sending it to a bunch of people.
And was it from the same Snapchat account?
No.
A different one.
Yeah, but it only takes 2 seconds to make a account. And I didn't actually tell you, but on the first time, a few days later, her girlfriend at the time rang me, swearing, shouting, blinding, and I thought I've done a good thing here. Like that sounded a bit suspicious.
Wait, but what was she shouting at you? What was she saying? Like
you want to get back in her life? Like, why are you doing this? And you want her back. And she said, you've been broken up a year now. Let it go. And just like you watch these soap operas where they all shout and swear at each
that's
other.
very
And I just sat there calm. Yeah, and I thought if you knew nothing about this and you're innocent.
But part of me is wondering, I mean, the behavior's so bizarre. Did she send you the photo knowing you were going to react to it, and then she used that as an excuse to lash out at you?
That's what I'm saying. I think
behavior's so odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or did
I think
the girlfriend send it as a weird way to get you to react and then to, I don't know, try to be
it was her way.
with
Yeah.
her?
Sorry, yeah. I think it's her way of trying to like claim territory, and I don't think she knew I had a way to reach out, so she probably saw it as a win-win.
So who do you think initially sent it to you? Your ex or the ex's girlfriend?
The ex's new girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah, and so she sent it to you, and then when you replied to it or contacted your ex, use that as a way to lash out at you and be like, stay away.
And this is one of those things where, it happens once, okay, you can kind of block, move on. It happens twice, okay, you're notifying, you're letting her know, hey, this is the picture, this is what's happening, try to get an explanation. But at a certain point, if this is something that would continue, if this is something that turns into harassment, that's where it gets serious.
It's like, do I call the police? It's not even my picture. I don't want to create more drama.
I wouldn't at this point.
I wouldn't at this point either.
No.
Just thinking about the level of disturbance in your life. If this is something that escalates to the point where it's daily, weekly, the pictures get more concerning or maybe more extreme or violent or anything like that. That would be big escalate in my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're right. It happened. It might have happened a third time, but I didn't look at it quick enough, and I just thought I'm not giving it a reaction. Plus, she didn't get back to my last message, so I thought, if it is her, it is her. If it's not, it's not. I've done my duty,
Yeah. If it happens again, say, don't contact me again. Or
just be very clear.
Or you could say, I don't know who this is. Don't contact me again.
Yeah.
Because we don't want if it is your ex and she hears don't contact me again. But if you say I don't know who this is first, don't contact me again, then your ex might be like, oh, well, she doesn't know who it is. You know what I mean?
It's just like a lot of things happen. I think because
Not
I've been
not that I see this going so well with her anyway. She's got a lot of stuff going on in her life. She doesn't seem emotionally stable enough for anything healthy.
No, and
But she's very young too.
Yeah, like I weren't the perfect partner. Like I can see where I can improve. I was very big on consent, but that's because of a trauma that happened to me, So
So the whole thing has been extremely stressful for you, and it sounds like it probably, even something so small as getting pictures like that can keep you obsessed and consumed on it for months trying to understand it.
And
And then it died down and it happened again.
yeah, really
Isn't that
bizarre
crazy?
things happen after a breakup, things that are really hard to explain. And we know that our brain, our anxiety loves unexplainable things. It just latches onto that and spirals. So, I'm sure your brain is going, was this her? Was this the girlfriend? Who could have said this? What was the motive? What's going
I
on?
analysed everything, the colour, the angle, the picture, and there was a part of me like, is that her? And I thought, well, of course it
Is
is.
that
I dated her for 9 months. I've seen her naked multiple times.
one would think?
I mean, depending on your sexual preference.
Okay. So for you, have you gotten to a place where you're able to let this go, or do you feel like you're still going to think about it and wonder?
I think like I'm getting over it, but like it's still wondering because I got breadcrumbed a lot, like I said. And when she first got with this girl, she viewed me 5 times in a day on an app. And then the day of the phone call with the current girlfriend, she made her go private, which I think, because like you don't go from public to private within half an hour of that call. My ex never spoke to me on the phone because she doesn't like other people getting involved, and she lost over 1,000 followers. So to me, that all screams being controlled, and that's why the girlfriend screamed at me on the phone.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
It
like so
sounds
I'm
like
not.
it sounds like you were doing your due diligence here. You let her know the first time in case this was somebody trying to harass her. You let her know the second time. You sent her a
Yeah,
picture of it just to like really let her know what's going on. At
yeah,
this point, this is one of those things where she may have a controlling girlfriend. It might be the girlfriend, but she,
yeah.
an adult, and this is one of those things that you can't take responsibility for. It's her
No.
to be in that relationship. If it starts to impact your life too much, or if it starts to disturb you to the point where you're getting
Hmm.
messages repeatedly and it's harassment, at that point,
Yeah.
I would think about, escalating or taking it more seriously. But at this point, I would just try to distance yourself from those messages as much as possible,
Yeah.
block those accounts if you can.
Either it's a controlling
Mhm.
ex, in which case your ex hasn't reached out to you, or it's your ex and it's just a sign of how immature and impulsive she's being. But either way,
Yeah.
it's not a sign that this is heading in a good direction,
And it
right?
doesn't sound like you're gonna be involved with either of them, her or her controlling ex.
Yeah.
No, no.
You get back with her and the controlling ex is following you everywhere.
Yeah. It's just hard. Like like you say, you try and work through a breakup, which is hard enough. Trying to understand like what you were teaching, and then like you get breadcrumb for months. You get over that, and then that, and it's just like I can't even talk to you without getting ignored, and yet this is all happening to me. It seemed like a double standard.
It is really unfair after a breakup when it seems like, you can receive messages from your ex, but then when you text them back, you hear crickets.
Yeah.
There's kind of like this imbalance that happens. You can at a certain point choose to set boundaries for yourself. We're not just like at our ex's whim all the time. If there comes a point where your ex's messages or even nudes, whatever it might be, if that is from her,
Mhm.
get to the point where they're plaguing you or really getting
Hmm.
mental health, you have the right to say, hey, I need to create some distance here.
Yeah. When you're anxious, it makes the imbalance even worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you have any last questions before we go?
Who do you think sent the photo and why? And do you think my ex is still like into me or not?
I think it was Colonel Mustard in the master bedroom.
I
I
mean,
think
the current girlfriend would be jealous.
You want to go first?
no, you can go.
I think it was the ex or the current girlfriend that
Yeah.
sent.
I think it was her.
You think it was her?
I think it was
What?
her.
My ex herself?
I think
That's my guess.
I'll give you my reason is that the new girlfriend's behavior seems incredibly controlling and bizarre.
Yes.
Okay. Your ex didn't get stressed out too much about the picture. She wasn't like, who sent it? When did they send it? What did they say? No follow-up questions. And the second
Mm.
time they didn't reply at all either. So I suspect that the current girlfriend may have been doing that with other people. And so your ex already knew stuff like that was going on.
Right. I just
Hmm.
see it as because she's got nowhere else to possibly live. Maybe she's allowing all this toxic behavior. She feels like she has to.
I think it's from her, and I think that because she has your Snapchat username. To me, that seems the most likely, just because she has the most access to you, or could have the most access to you. And it's really common, we'll see people being blocked. She doesn't know if she's blocked back or not on her account. If you're blocked, I don't know if that's how that works, but it would make sense that she would create another account. We see exes do that all the time. When we create another account to communicate or to spy or to see what's going on. So I suspect that it's maybe more of that scenario, rather than the current girlfriend, just because the current girlfriend would have to go through some hoops to get your Snapchat, probably.
If she knew on the phone, like she said that she knew when we broke up, maybe I've been discussed in greater detail. That's what I thought on the phone.
Could be.
It's a case of who done it.
Who done it?
I want to see people speculate in the comment section. Who do they think sent the pictures, and give your reasons why?
And the winner gets the nude.
Huh?
And the winner gets the nude. I'm joking.
It's not a case of who blocked that anonymous account, because that would be me. I'd be blocking that account left and right.
But it was two different accounts though.
Yeah, the first time, and I said about it, and she said like, can I see it? And I said no, I didn't want it to happen again, but when I had it the second time, I thought I want to send it, because the girlfriend, if she did do it, she could say, oh, she's lying, and I didn't have anything to back it up with,
Yeah.
All right.
And you informed her. You let her know.
You did the right thing.
Yep.
You did the right thing.
I would say get comfy with that block button.
Yeah, in every email I said, you don't have to reach out to this, and then on the phone call, oh, you want her back, and it's like it contradicts what you were saying.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we covered a lot today. I hope this is helpful to you, and we appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah,
thank you so much
for being willing to share all this.
You've helped me guys a lot, so thank you.
You're very welcome. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.